So here we go. Let me see whether I can articulate myself correctly here, because this topic is a little bit difficult to understand. It's a little bit, let's say, out of the ordinary, but it doesn't make it any less important. You know how I've been talking about time and energy vampires, the TEVs, right? I've been talking about TEVs a lot. I will be talking about TEVs a lot because they're important to understand, and it's important that you guard yourself from them. Now, with respect to TEVs, most of them have been, or all of them so far pretty much have been about humans, human TEVs. You know, I mean, people that are around you, right? The people that you want to avoid. Well, here's another perspective, let's say. And that is namely the fact that there are non human, non tangible TEVs as well. In this video, I'll just address one of them because there are several. But one of them that a lot of people don't seem to understand really is court cases. And I'm actually gonna use a specific court case just to illustrate what I mean. Because the whole story is so ridiculous, really. When I first read it, I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a joke. But it turned out to be true. So here's essentially what happened. Some guy bought an apartment or a house. And then I don't know what struck him, maybe buyer's remorse, maybe he regretted the decision, maybe he believed that the house or apartment wasn't worth all the money. So he wanted to refund the purchase, which obviously isn't, just straightforward. It's not like you just bring something back. If you're buying something from the electronics store, if I'm buying this set of headphones from the electronics store and I don't want it anymore and I haven't opened it, have the original receipt, then I can probably get a refund because there is something, there are laws against that. I think I don't know what it's called, but there is like a period of 14 days where you can legally get a refund if you had the original receipt and you didn't open up the package or whatever of whatever item or thing that you bought. That's fine. But that doesn't apply when you buy a house or an apartment. When you bought, you bought. That's it, right? So in order to refund such a big purchase, there has to be, grounds for doing so. If the apartment is leaky, if there is something terribly wrong with it, then fine. But if you just regretted your decision or whatever, then you can't do it. So, like I said, I have no idea what the sort of like formal reason was for this guy wanted to refund his apartment, but whatever. He took the buyer to court. He filed a complaint or he filed a court case. And this plaintiff was a curious cat because number one, he was a lawyer, right? Number two, he didn't hire a lawyer to do the work for him in court. Instead, he used, and hold tight, because this may or may not kind of shock you, he used ChatGPT or some other large language model, some other AI, to write all his court documentation and do the arguing for him. In other words, he wanted to save money. Well, guess what happened? All that data dumping, all that documentation, because I believe he managed to generate somewhere near 1,000 pages of just nonsense and crap. He managed to generate 1,000 pages of just crap and handed it over to the opposing counsel, to the other, to the defendant's lawyer. And the defense lawyer had to go through all of these pages, analyze them, kill the arguments, and effectively dismantle all sorts of logic and reasoning for why the apartment should be refunded. Here's the very, very interesting case, though. This way of data dumping is a time and energy vampire in and of itself, especially for the opposing counsel. A court case is, of course, a massive time and energy vampire, because this was a completely unnecessary court case. It took up a lot of time and resources. This was a dispute that could have been handled otherwise, or it shouldn't have been a dispute in the first place. And here we are. So what happened with that guy? Well, I'll tell you what happened. The plaintiff, of course, lost the case because there were no grounds for refunding the apartment. And in my country, the rules are clear. If you take someone to court and you lose the case, normally you have to pay all of the expenses. The court fees, the administrative fees, whatever they are, and the lawyer's fees of the opposing counsel. So all of the extra documentation, all of the documentation from AI, tally it up to, I think, some 50 or 60 hours of extra work for the lawyer, which meant that the lawyer bill got quite high. I think it was $50,000 US dollars extra just to go through all that, like a pile of crap. It's ridiculous. And it's just dumb. And it's just a proof of a time and energy vampire within a time and energy vampire, because court cases are awful and terrible, right? So let that be the lesson of the day. Time and energy vampires don't need to be human. They can be intangible, and a court case is one such time and energy vampire. So whatever you do your best to stay away from the courts. It's going to be expensive, it's going to be time consuming, and it's going to be energy draining. So, with that being said, if you want to learn more about time and energy vampires, the TEVs, get subscribed to my email list. The link to do so is below the episode description, wherever you're watching or listening to this. And I'll see you later.